Hi. In this lesson, we'll talk about HTML tags and touch a bit on React and JavaScript. Let's get started. Initially, let's remove all the extra stuff from our project to make it easier to handle. Firstly, I want to delete all the CSS files because we'll return to CSS later, then we'll add them. For now, let's remove them so they don't distract us. We've removed them. Now we need to delete the places where they were applied. They're no longer here. And as for apt.sx, I suggest we demolish the whole thing and rewrite it to understand it better. So look, apt.sx is our application component. In general, our entire application will consist of components that will ultimately be assembled into the apt.sx component. This apt.sx component should be imported into the main.tsx file, which determines that we need to render our application into the HTML element with the ID root. We will discuss everything else later. That's essentially the main point. So, let's import something from apt.x. We do an export const, a construct for exporting anything. Copilot is already suggesting exporting the app. We agree with that. What is a component anyway? A component is a JavaScript function that starts with a capital letter and can have input parameters. We'll discuss this later as they're not needed yet, and it contains some logic. And the main thing is that upon completing this logic, it returns some kind of JSX structure. Simply put, it's essentially just HTML tags, but we'll delve deeper into that now. Since it's a function that should return a JSX structure, we need to ask it to return it. So let's say, for example, it could be a heading. Here's the first tag, h1 hello world. Done. And exported correctly to main.txdex. Now it's called here without curly braces because it was written like this before. Export default app. I don't like such exports. I like when everything is exported with named exports because it fixes the element's name. Because here, in fact, you could have written it this way before and it would work too, which I don't like. So we import it here in this way. And let's see what we have. Hello world. All right, excellent. So now, back to our topic. What are HTML tags? HTML tags are the structural elements of a web page. HTML tags must have a name, such as, in this case, I1. They can also have attributes. For example, the most common attribute is the class name. Let's say, for example, it's my class. We will return to HTML tag attributes and CSS or others in future lessons. For now, it's important to simply understand that a tag has a name and can have some attributes. Some are individual, some are common to every tag. During the project, we'll write a lot of HTML tags and analyze them in more detail. The main thing now is to understand the basics. If an HTML tag is opened, it must be closed later. There are such HTML tags that, for example, the BR tag. It simultaneously opens and closes and is singular. This is just a line break. Let's save and see what we got. So, here is the line break in Hello World. Let's see how it actually displays in our browser. What appeared here? Let's inspect. What do we see? Here we have an h1 component with the class myClass and the text Hello World BR World. Basically, we see what we've written here. But in reality, of course, it's not quite like that. As you can see, we wrote class name here, but for some reason, we see class. And actually, you need to understand, but overall, it's not important for our work. Actually, this is a JSX structure. What is JSX structure? It's just syntactic sugar for calling functions. I'll now write this in the way it is created when transpiled to our JavaScript. After all, it's JavaScript. In fact, this is equivalent to writing it like this. Return. Yes, create React element h1 class name my class. Hello React element br world. So, and we need to export React. Look, I'm saving it. We get absolutely the same thing. But admit it, this looks awful and unclear, while this looks good. Therefore, of course, no one writes like this. You just need to understand that this actually transforms into some code that already generates our HTML. But JSX looks almost exactly like this, just like regular HTML. So, all right, now let's draft a more realistic HTML structure that will match our project. We have a service for posting and viewing ideas. Accordingly, on the main page, I suggest displaying a list of ideas that are available in the service. Let's draft the HTML structure. Okay, well, that's it. Let's put it in some div. Here we will have a title. Well, the title is the name of our service. Then let's have another div where we will place a list of the ideas themselves. Well, let's have it like this for now. H2, ID1, P. And let's say we have 3 such ideas in our service. 2, 3. Okay, let's see what comes out of this. Here we have such an HTML structure. Let's take a look at the tags themselves. In general, there are a lot of tags. A link to a list of all possible HTML tags will be attached to this lesson, but I will also highlight those that are used most often in the text. Here are some of them. This is a div, which means a certain block. H1 is the most important heading. Again, div block, div block. H2 is a slightly less important heading. P is some paragraph. As we can see, H1 looks bigger than H2. This is because the browser has a default. Default is the default settings for how to display certain HTML tags. But we will talk about the design of the tags later when we connect the CSS styles, and we will return to this. During the development of this project, we will use many HTML tags, write many styles, and delve deeper into this topic. But for now, we just needed to outline this structure, and later, we will make it dynamic, fetch real data from the backend, output this data in a loop, and so on. But for now, regarding the topic of HTML tags, I think it's enough. Thank you all. Let's move on.